Let me get my sound right. Let me get my sound right, and let's get started on today's video. Let me get my sound right. Let me get my audio levels correct. Let me make sure everything is Gucci on this end before we get everything officially started. Don't need none of my sound levels blowing up. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody for logging in. I wanted to do a midday video with everything that popped off last night. Gillie did a TMZ interview. Gillie the Kid actually did a TMZ interview, and he addressed an altercation. He addressed running into Lil Wayne, y'all. He actually addressed running into Lil Wayne for the first time in forever, I guess. For the first time since the whole beef. Gillie apparently had the intention. Apparently, Gillie the Kid had the intention of getting Wheezy on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. It's good enough intention. You know what I mean? That's an honorable intention. The fans would want to see that. But it's an interview. You know what I mean? Lil Wayne has to be accepting to it. In all reality, Lil Wayne's one of the major ops of his career, Young Thug, was legitimately just on $1 Million Worth of Game. You know what I mean? Sometimes artists from back in that day will take a little bit of disrespect to you bringing someone on the show that they don't necessarily like. What's popping with you, James Brown? We got Buffalo in the building. We got a couple things to talk about. I wanted to do an afternoon stream because last night we saw the video that popped up of Gillie the Kid. We saw the video that popped up of Gillie the Kid actually doing an interview with TMZ. I thought it was interesting when Gillie was promoting that he had an exclusive interview coming out with TMZ. I figured it would have to be with the Tricky podcast, Raquel. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh shit, Gillie's making his way up, you know what I mean, to some of these major outlets. You know, you can tell just with what she's done to get that outlet on TMZ. You know, she's got a major, you know what I mean? She's got a major outlet there. Mack Maine actually jumped back on Gillie after this. What up, Randy Mack? Appreciate you for tapping in. Appreciate you for tapping in, Mac. Major salute to everybody tapping in this afternoon. Let me get a little something lit up. Let me get a little something lit up for the stream. You know what I mean? Let me get a little something lit up for the stream, you guys. Gillie took some shots at Lil Wayne. Mack Maine responded, y'all. Mack Maine responded. He actually brought up the Carter series. You know, that's why Gillie's beef with Lil Wayne started in the first place. In all honesty, we all know that. That's where their beef started. So let's see. Gillie's on the Tricky podcast, and they asked Gillie if him and Young Money ever fixed their situation. Now, when she says Young Money, obviously she's talking about Cash Money. When Gillie was rocking with Birdman and all them, it wasn't Young Money at that point. It was still the early 2000s. It was at the point where it was just Cash Money. When Gillie was actually working with Cash Money, Lil Wayne was at a different stage of his career where he was really building his career back. He was fighting back to get Cash Money on the map after all the mainstays had left the label. Major salute, major salute. We got Texas in the building. Vladimir, what's going on, man? Make sure you put a star by that comment. Anybody that jumps in here and puts some comments up, make sure you put stars. Make sure you put stars by those comments. Yeah. Gillie had a couple beefs at that time, huh? Why Rez said Gillie was beefing with Cassidy at that time too. Yep, Gillie and Cassidy were going at it. We all know what Gillie did in regard to the situation with Cassidy going all the way, to his block. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Block Campbell. We're actually starting a little bit early today because I wanted to jump on this topic. Little Wayne's protege, Mack Maine, actually pretty much called out Gillie once Gillie spoke on running into Little Wayne. Gillie said that he had the opportunity to see Little Wayne. You know what I mean? He had the opportunity to see Little Wayne, I believe, the first time since their actual beef. I believe they ran into each other for the first time since their actual beef. Um, Gillie spoke on it, but then Mack Maine actually posted the video of that meeting on their actual page. Yep. So the video is out there of Lil Wayne and Gillie the Kid actually meeting. They met up for the first time in quite some time. I can't imagine how many years it's been. It's got to be close to 20 years if they haven't seen each other cordially. Because I do remember Gillie actually ran into Birdman when I was with him. Gillie actually ran into Birdman when I was with him back in the day at uh when we were actually at the King of Diamonds nightclub. They actually ran into each other, but I'm not sure about them actually running Little Wayne and Gillie actually running into one another. I think this is the first time. Now, when they run into each other, what's on Gillie's mind? You know what I mean? When they run into each other, what is Gillie thinking? Gillie's thinking for his podcast. You know what I mean? Gillie is thinking for the $1 million worth of game podcast. So that's what he is there to actually talk to Little Wayne about. What's everybody blazing on, man? Let me know, y'all. You got that Mac 1. That's what's up. I just had some Granny Mac. I'm not sure if that's the same shit. Is that Mac 1 a sativa? Is that Mac 1 a sativa? I'm actually right now finishing up this daily special 25% daily special 25% THC. It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. I got a tiny bit of runts mixed in it. This Gillie the Kid versus Little Wayne. Gillie the Kid versus Little Wayne back. It's back on, you guys. It looks like it's back on, unless they just patch it up and get the podcast together. Because when Gil apparently asked Mac Maine about the podcast, he's like, "Yo, what's going on? We're here talking about the podcast. We're here trying to put something together. Maine was dragging a little bit with it. Yo, that's something we got to discuss. That's something that we got to bring to the table. We all know the history that these two guys have. It's going to be a little bit crazy for them to actually just get together and do a podcast. Block says, Gillie, in my opinion, wrote some of his bars. I'm from Louisiana, LOL. Wayne was influenced heavily by the East Coast. He wore Gillie's chain. Yep, he wore Gillie's chain back in the day. You know what I mean? He wore Gillie's big Major Figures chain back in the day. What's going on, Chupa? Triangle Kush, aka Florida Crippy, also known as Sour Cookies, has some really good, clean. Nice, man. Nice, man. Jay Sinatra says, why would Gillie think that Wayne would be cool with him after he said he wrote for him? Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. You know what I mean? These two guys actually coming back into contact for the first time, you know what I mean, in quite some time. It's gonna raise some alarms. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the video that Maine promptly released. You know what I mean? Maine promptly released this video basically, showing the whole incident. Somebody must have sent the video to Maine, and Maine actually posted it on his Instagram. And the video shows Wallow standing at the door, Gillie coming over, and Wayne actually walking up, and the two shaking hands. The two were actually shaking hands, you guys. It was a very, very brief encounter. You know what I mean? Gillie had said that the reason for him being Gillie said he talked to Maine. You know what I mean? Gillie was saying he was talking to Maine. He wanted to get the podcast together, as I said. These are two different situations. I mean, Gillie was in this room. Maine could have potentially been in this room with Gillie, whereas Lil Wayne was over here carrying on a whole other conversation. You know what I'm saying? He was carrying on legitimately a whole other conversation that had nothing to do with Gillie. So when he got the word, yo, Gil is here, Gillie and Wallow are here, they just want to say what's up to you. They want to say what's good. So Wayne went over and talked to him. You know what I mean? Wayne went over and talked to Gillie. I mean, it was a simple slap of the hand, a what's up? Hey man, I'll give you a slap of the hand, even though we have all this, history where, people Gillie made a lot of people look at Lil Wayne in a negative light. Gillie made a lot of people think that Lil Wayne wasn't as credible. What I'm saying is a lot of the Gillie fans, fell back from representing Lil Wayne. A lot of people made choices in that whole dilemma, so that is probably gonna be tampering with Lil Wayne, unless he's the type of dude who's like, I've got too many fans to worry about having lost those tens of thousands of fans or thousands of fans that I lost because of Gillie the Kid. You know what I mean? Wayne just has too many fans to actually outweigh that. It's kind of like when the baby just recently lost a lot of his fans. He didn't lose all of his fan base. He lost a little chunk of it. He's still moving on very successfully. Jay Sinatra says, Wayne has his own podcast. Why would he do Gillie's? I mean, Jay, let's be honest. A lot of people who have their own podcast go on to do different podcasts. They do that in order to promote their brand. You know what I mean? Just like Gillie has had, academics, and he's had Nori come on his show. You know what I mean? These are measures of cross promotion. Joe Budden recognizes the power of $1 million worth of game. Lil Wayne's podcast isn't really all that I don't even really think it's all that much of a podcast in comparison to Gillie's. Wayne has the joint where he will sit down, his Tunchi, the Tunchi sign that he has behind. I want to get the Mikey T sign just like that. You know what I mean, though. So I respect what Lil Wayne is doing, but he has the artists usually call in from a big TV. You know what I mean? That's something that Wayne was doing when we was all stuck inside. You know, what's up? What's up, Akeem? Appreciate you for tapping in. Appreciate everybody for tapping in, y'all. We got some stuff to talk about today, man. You know, Gillie went at Wayne. Gillie went at Wayne in a whole situation. You know, Gillie actually revealed the whole situation of running into Lil Wayne, something I don't think a lot of us knew about. But I mean, when you're on TMZ, all the stories are going to come out. When you're on TMZ, all the stories are going to come out, you guys. So we're going to be talking about it today, what Gillie had to say about that. Block says, when are you going on $1 million worth of game? Well, you know, Gillie and Wallow actually just started their new show. It's called Intros, where I guess it's a bi-monthly show. So every other month, they're going to be coming out and doing a show that's based on an upcoming, business, an upcoming musician, upcoming producer, anything along those lines. So I don't know. I can't say, man. You know what I mean? All I can tell you is that I will be here doing what I do when it comes to reporting news, when it comes to actually, going in on all these topics like we're going to do today. And I hate when I do that. Mike G says, you need your own podcast, bro. You tune in with a lot of celebrities, bro. You need to jump in that. Soon it will come, bro. Soon it will come. Soon I will have my own podcast. You know what I'm saying? Soon I'll do all that. Y'all will know. Y'all will know when it happens. But I'm not rushing anything. I'm not rushing anything. You know, right now I'm building my name. I'm building my brand. Like Mikey T, you've been doing that for like 12 years. You're damn right I've been doing it for 12 years. And I ain't going to stop. But yeah, man, this Gillie the Kid issue with Lil Wayne. You could look at the situation with Gillie the Kid and Lil Wayne, and you could say, it looked like Lil Wayne curved Gillie. You know what I mean? You could say it kind of looked like Lil Wayne curved Gillie in that situation. You could say it kind of just looked like neither man had anything to say more than a handshake. Sometimes when you shake somebody's hand, they will hold you in for that handshake until they say what they want to say. Sometimes it'll be a quick little joint and then they'll move on, getting back to do what they've been doing. The situation is funny because we heard Gillie speaking about it. You know what I mean? We heard Gillie speaking about it in the clip that dropped from TMZ. Why are you jealous? Why are you jealous that your YouTube, you know what I mean, that you ain't doing shit? You know what I mean? I've been doing this shit for 12 years. You just type blasphemy on the internet. Let's be real. You know what I mean? Let's be real about that. Some people should really have more of a consideration as to what they type on the internet, but they don't. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's move on. I'm like, gee, everything takes time, bro. Yeah, I'm not rushing it, man. I'm not rushing it. What up, what up, what up, what up? Woonsocket, Rhode Island in the building. Appreciate Woonsocket for tapping in. Peace and blessings to Rico. Appreciate you for tapping in, Rico. Everybody share this video. Merck says, I thought that was squashed between Wayne and Gillie. I thought that was squashed. Everything is good, man. I just been doing the live videos nightly at 10:30. If anybody on here doesn't know, but today I wanted to do a live broadcast midday. Wanted to jump on here about this topic because Gillie the Kid actually had some things to say about Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? And I'm here thinking, is this whole Lil Wayne, Gillie the Kid situation back on and popping? Gillie the Kid and Lil Wayne, it was kind of a topic that was put to bed. It was kind of a topic that was put to bed, you guys. Gillie had actually told me, he had told anybody interviewing him. I think he even said it in one interview. Gillie was like, I'm not talking about Lil Wayne anymore. I remember when you was living in the past and I was so far past you. You know what I mean? That's what I remember. Like 150 videos past you, bro. You know what I'm saying? But Mike G, I wholly disagree with this comment here, Mike G. Mike G says if it wasn't for Lil Wayne, we wouldn't even know who Gillie the Kid is. And I'm gonna bring that comment to the front line because of the fact that there are other situations where there are rappers that we wouldn't know anything about whatsoever if it wasn't for their label mates, if it wasn't for their CEOs, if it wasn't for their record labels, you guys. There are a lot of artists that we wouldn't know anything about, but Gillie the Kid was making name for himself before Cash Money, exactly, before linking up with Birdman, exactly, Merck. The major figures. The major figures were commanding record label offers. They had actually worked out a deal with Warner. I believe it was Warner, and they had taken their debut mixtape and just turned it into an album. I need everybody to share this video. We're talking about some dope topics today. We're talking about some dope topics today. We're talking about some dope topics today. Uh, yep, yep. Yep, Gillie the Kid got on, you know what I mean? Even got on with his own solo deal. He even got on with his own solo deal prior to linking up with Cash Money, going and taking his services down to Texas. So it wasn't necessarily Gillie and the major figures that got put on or they got recognition from being around Lil Wayne. That was not really what happened in that case, you guys. Yep, Gillie has a legend in Philly, but he obviously also his legend was growing because he got a deal all the way down in Texas. You know what I mean? He got a deal all the way down in Texas, you guys. Mm-mm. Yeah, man, a whole lot of history. Let's get into it here, you guys. So it was actually the Tricky podcast. It was actually the Tricky podcast that Gillie did. Gillie was actually running through the TMZ offices. Gillie's following is crazy. When Gillie does something, it gets hundreds of thousands of views organically. If it blasts through and goes majorly viral, it's going to do millions of views. We saw what just happened with him and Wiz. You know what I'm saying? We literally just saw what happened with him and Wiz. Appreciate you, Res. Major salute to you, bro. I definitely appreciate you, man. Eric says, yeah, Gillie and Wallow be making me laugh. Yeah, they cover all the spectrums of emotion, you know what I mean? Whether it's anger, comedy, you know what I mean? They cover all that shit, to be honest with you. That's why they're so great at what they do. That's why they've had so many spectacular guests. I'm talking about people like Kodak Black, you know what I mean? And Kodak Black didn't go on to their show wearing a ski mask, you know what I'm saying? Even though that's probably more to do with probation issues and the fact that he really wanted to go on the Breakfast Club that bad. You know what I mean? The fact that he wanted to be on the Breakfast Club that bad and he didn't really care if he were to violate. You know, that was the situation with Kodak Black. You know, getting an interview on the Breakfast Club, it's going to add to your celebrity. And when I say add to his celebrity, I mean add to his pockets to the point where look where he's at now, able to go buy air conditioners for all the houses in the projects. You know what I mean? All the houses in the community that he used to live in and do something out of the kindness of his heart. You see shit like that. You know what I mean? But everybody's so quick to jump on 6ix9ine when he gives somebody $50,000 in pesos. You know what I mean? How about Kodak Black going and making sure all these families are going to have some ACs in their crib? You know what I mean? When it gets hot and unbearable and you have an issue at night sleeping because of how hot it is. Anyways, I'm just being real because people want to, yo, I really appreciate, man. I didn't see half as many posts about Kodak Black when he did it, and y'all would rather commend a snitch for doing that. But it is what it is, man. Queen, it's all good. Appreciate you tuning in regardless. Appreciate you tuning in regardless. You want to know why? Because it's a headline, probably. It'll get you on TMZ if you be saying that shit. That's what it, or not TMZ, media takeout. You know what I mean? It'll get you on the one of the biggest platforms. But it is what it is, man. You can't discredit what guys like Steve Will Do It are doing and you know what they all did and shit like that. Jeanette, King Me. King Me. You must not really be listening to the music if you really don't know any Gillie music like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's a solo one. He's got other joints too. Go check out Legacy. Just trying to go check out Legacy with Fred the Godson. Go check out Trying to Get Me One with Pusha T. Like, come on, let's not play. Go check out, you know what I mean? Go check out Tattoos with Jeremiah. Let's not play here. People is trying to talk like you can't name what? I just named 5. Merck says that heat is different in Florida. Yeah, you know, and I never really thought about it like that, but apparently a lot of people do make issues out of sleeping in hot conditions. You know, I never really been one to think about that so much. So Gillie was asked on the Tricky podcast about, you know, if he ever fixed his situation with Young Money. And Gillie said, we never really had a situation. He dissed me. I came back. I dissed him, you know, but it was just that I guess my diss was taken too serious. Gillie's saying that his diss is taken too serious. Gillie's diss was pretty serious, but in all reality, I mean, you got Lil Wayne calling Gillie the Kid like Gillie the Squid, or was it Willie the Squid or something like that? You know what I mean? So how the hell do you expect him to respond except with a vicious diss track, you know? But right here, when Gillie says at the beginning, we never really had no situation, I'm wondering there if he's responding to the fact that she said situation, like when it came to a label situation, she had said Young Money. Obviously, it was Cash Money back then. But yeah, another one, Get Down on the Ground. Yeah, another one. Um, But I'm wondering, in all honesty, if you know what I mean. I think she more so means than the record deal situation. I think she more so meant about how they had beef. And Gillie said we never really had no situation, which isn't really all that accurate. You know what I mean? You can't really say that Gillie and Lil Wayne didn't have a situation. Gillie was all over the internet going viral, you know what I mean, dissing the hell out of Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? He was going viral, making Lil Wayne look like you know what I mean, look crazy. So that's why the two of these guys actually meeting up the first time face to face like that, eh, you got to imagine it's not going to be more than a quick moment. It's not going to be catching up on history. The history that these two guys would have to catch up on is pretty, it's a little crazy. Like imagine Gillie and Wayne on the $1 million worth of game podcast talking about their history. It's inevitably going to come up about how they beefed with one another. And the reason why Lil Wayne actually beefed with Gillie the Kid would more than likely come up. That's something that has been in question for a long time, though, you guys. That's something that's been in question for quite a while. Now, Gillie had said before he told the youngins over at Cash Money, he told them about publishing or something along those lines, something about getting paid off of your music after the fact, reoccurring payments, or something along those lines. I guess some people like to say is what Gillie was telling the Cash Money guys. No telling what Birdman and Wayne had to say after that, but we all saw what happened. Birdman put the whole company behind Lil Wayne. Birdman put the whole company behind Lil Wayne to the point where Lil Wayne ended up doing the same thing as Gillie the Kid. Now, when I say that, you guys, when I say that Lil Wayne, share this video, everybody. No other bloggers on here talking like me. They can't. They're not going to talk like this. You can get that other sauce on those other channels, but they don't have the sauce like this. They're not going to talk like this. In the chat, what decision did Lil Wayne make that was exactly the same decision that Gillie the Kid made? I'll wait in the chat. I want to hear what decision did Lil Wayne end up making that was exactly the same as Gillie's? Let me get a little smoke. Nope, Mike G. Nope, that is not it. It had nothing to do with Cash Money. All right, I'm going to tell you guys what Lil Wayne did that was exactly the same situation Gillie was in and Gillie did. When Lil Wayne was coming up and Birdman put Cash Money on Lil Wayne's back and said, "You're going to carry us through to the next generation." Lil Wayne was getting a major offer from Hove himself. Jay-Z. Jay-Z was trying to bring Lil Wayne over to Def Jam. And Lil Wayne did the same thing that Gillie the Kid did. He turned down Jay-Z. Lil Wayne and Gillie the Kid share that. They both turned down Jay-Z, y'all. Different parts of their career, obviously, but that's something it's oddly similar about the two of them. Yup, Eric, Jay has helped Lil Wayne out through the years. You know what I mean? There's only one thing that Birdman beat out Jay-Z in that. Jay-Z was going to have multiple artists. I believe it was Jay-Z's run at Def Jam. Jay-Z had signed a bunch of talented acts over to Def Jam. You know what I mean? He brought Fab over. He brought Kiss over. You know what I mean? He brought all these dope acts over to Def Jam. So that means he was going to have a lot of different focus. Birdman gave Lil Wayne Cash Money pretty much. I can't remember if he made him president of Cash Money, similar to the way that Suge Knight had made Corrupt president, but I'm not sure if he made him officially the president. But he put everything behind Lil Wayne, everything. So yeah. So, anyways, let's get back into it. I just wanted to address the situation with Gillie the Kid and Lil Wayne. Um, so Gillie was asked, had he talked to Lil Wayne? Gillie said, I just seen Wayne at Jackson State University. Now, he was asked on the Tricky podcast if they actually spoke. A lot of these other blogs, they'll be cool with that. Oh, you saw Wayne at Jacksonville State? That's cool, baby. That's cool, man. It's dope. Then they'll start answering the question for the artist as well. Oh, man, it's dope that y'all can run into each other and you be in a cordial environment where it's all Gucci. You know what I mean? This, that. And then the other thing, you know what I mean? They'll tell the whole story for please chill, relax yourself, let the artist tell his story. That's why I respect a brand. Obviously, TMZ respects the brand. Tricky podcast doing its thing. Is it Tricky podcast? All right, it's a podcast. That's what's up. So Gillie said, when asked if he actually spoke to Lil Wayne, now I got to imagine this is their first time speaking in quite some time. Now, I had personally witnessed Gillie speaking to Birdman, but that's a little bit of a different thing. You know what I mean? Gillie speaking to Birdman is a little bit different thing than Gillie speaking to Wheezy. What up, what up, what up, King? Appreciate you for tapping in. Whoa. Whoa. See, some dudes just love to try and get their opinions out when it's like, dude, relax. Go post that on your Facebook, bro. Ain't nobody want to read all that. What's popping though, man? Lil Uzi. He was asked, he was asked if he spoke to Lil Wayne. And Gil is like, yeah, but no. I mean, he looked up. I was in the doorway. I was in the doorway. I said, what's up, man? He said, he was nodding up and down, acknowledging the fact that he's seen him. Yeah, I was wondering why he said Little Uzi. What up, Brick City? What's popping? What's popping? Yeah, why did he say Lil Uzi? Was that in regard to the King of Philly comment, maybe? I didn't really know what he said Lil Uzi for. Let me see. Let me see. So Gillie explained like he was there for business. So Gillie was there for business. So they shook hands, and then Gillie's like, then he got the F out of there. Vroom. Real talk. I mean, it's not like Mack, Maine, Mack stayed there and hollered. You know what I mean? Because we were just like, you know what I mean? We're just trying to get him on the podcast. So Gillie was legitimately trying to get, Gillie was legitimately trying to get Wayne on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to get Wayne actually to be on the podcast in the future. That was their intention. I mean, they were both there, Gillie and Wallow. So I believe it. You know what I mean? Why? What other reason would he be there? Sometimes you gotta remember, Gillie and Wallow, they gotta remember like they shouldn't be detoured by this. You know what I'm saying? They should not be, feel like it's the end because sometimes you don't get the interview. Busta Rhymes told me this. You know what I mean? Busta Rhymes told me this shit. We gotta make a relationship with each other before we eat with each other. You know what I mean? Before we eat off of one another. And I really respected Busta when he told me that shit. I was like, yo, I know Busta is just kind of curving my interview right now, but it was me and another videographer that he was talking to. He's like, you guys, what's up? I'm Busta. You know what I'm saying? I just introduce myself to you and shit. And then, but before we just put the camera on somebody, man, why don't you build with somebody? Never really got to build with Busta too much after that, but that was my second meeting with Busta. It was at this show that he was doing with Nas at some event in Miami, some Hennessy event, which was lit. So we was all off the Hennessy that night. So it was like, yeah, Bus, of course, man, that's that real shit. But give me a tap, Bus. I remember that shit though. I'm just keeping it real. Jody Lowe says Little Wayne has got a pretty good podcast too. And that's why I'm saying, like, if Little Wayne's gonna really continue the podcast, which I don't know if he is, I think that might have been something he was doing. Like, let me know, you guys, is Wayne continuing the podcast? I think that might have been something he actually did in the past. You know what I mean? I think that might have been something he actually did in the past, you guys, during the pandemic time, just to pass time and shit like that. Nah, man, Jody, most rappers will not tell you that. Most rappers will not tell you, hey, let's use an opportunity to build with one another before we just start, doing all the shit on camera together. Most artists will not tell you that. Most artists will just curve you, if anything. Most artists will just be like, oh, hell no, I'm not even going to have a conversation with that guy. I'm just going to walk past. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these guys have cameras pointed at them all the time. I mean, Busta Rhymes, you know what I mean? It's literally been since the 90s. You know what I mean? Like Busta Rhymes has literally been since dudes was getting pictures taken of them outside of clubs and shit. You know what I mean? And all the tabloid magazines. Busta Rhymes has been around since back then. It's dope to see him show up here and there on tracks too. It's definitely dope to see Busta show up here and there on tracks. Let me see. Where are we at with this? So Maine actually responded. So Gillie's like, Mack was like, man, we got to discuss some things. Like, what do we got to discuss? We sitting down, we having a conversation, man. We grown ass men. We can't be possibly operating off of some shit that happened in 2004 to 2005, are we? So Gillie pretty much was exposing the whole conversation that he had with Maine on this interview with TMZ. So I'm kind of feeling, that's why I say that I'm kind of feeling like Gillie believes that he will not get the interview with Lil Wayne. I think Gillie is just looking a little bit too much into it. You know what I'm saying? I think in the future he could get that interview, but not every interview happens the first opportunity that you try to get it. Like, that's the thing about it. RG says, I'm just glad Wayne got his money from Birdman and they could repair their relationship. Wayne's been putting in too much work to have people taking his money and credibility. Yeah, man. It seems like it was just quite a bit of money, too. It's like, how the hell does somebody, you know, get that much money that they actually owe you, you know? So Little Wayne and Birdman were going through it for quite some time. What was it, man? Was it 18 months or was it longer than that they were going through it? They eventually patched up what differences they could. They eventually patched up what differences they could, and we've seen them actually appear here and there together on at different nightclubs. You know what I mean? We've seen them appear together on different nightclubs. We even actually saw a little bit of Lil Wayne embracing Young Thug, which was odd. Appreciate you, Queen. Definitely appreciate you. We're going to keep on doing this way. You know what I mean? I like to come on here and do the news content. I also love coming on and dropping my interviews. It's just two different lanes that I've got. You know what I'm saying? Just two different lanes that I've got right there. So y'all, Mack Maine heard all this. Gillie addressing him. Gillie addressing him and all that. Mack Maine heard all this and he actually responded. So looking at the footage, I was looking at the footage after Gillie spoke on it. You can see Lil Wayne and Gillie actually shaking hands at the door. Wallow was actually standing in between them, and someone was filming Gillie from behind. Now it seemed like someone must have told Lil Wayne that Gillie and Wallow were at the door. They want to holler at you. As Gillie said, he was trying to get Lil Wayne to come and be a part of his podcast. He wanted Gillie wanted Lil Wayne. Gillie wanted Lil Wayne to be a part of the podcast. That's why they showed up. That's why they went and talked. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I've been in studios and we've heard this whole situation of we've heard the whole situation of Birdman and Lil Wayne actually working studio side by side. And people would be like, yo, how do you work at the same studio at the Hit Factory side by side with Lil Wayne while you guys are going through all that beef? This is one question that Birdman was asked. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. I've been in that studio with Birdman while Lil Wayne was at the studio next door. It's all about respect. You know what I mean? It's all about a matter of respect. Not everybody is going to be walking into Lil Wayne's studio, and that's just real. I can tell you that, man. You're not just going to walk into Lil Wayne's studio. So, in saying that, when Lil Wayne was having his conversation in that room, so Lil Wayne is talking to a group of people, and someone must have said, yo, Gillie and Wallow are here, $1 million worth of game. They wanted to say what's up to you real quick. I highly doubt someone went up to Wayne and was like, yo, Gillie and Wallow are here. They want to talk to you about actually getting you on an interview for their show, $1 million. I don't know if Wayne's got all the time to process all that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, Gillie and Wallow are here. The fact of the matter is, you guys, Wayne went over to Gillie and shook his hand, slapped his hand, smiled in his face. You know what I mean? That's the fact right there. So, like I said, it seemed like someone must have told Lil Wayne that Gillie and Wallow were at the door. They wanted to holler at you. So they're shaking hands. Gillie, Wayne, Wallow is smiling. And then it actually ends right in that moment. And both men turn around, both men walk away. You know, the conversation was so brief. I can only say that it was because of the fact that Lil Wayne was in the middle of something else. Lil Wayne was in the middle of a whole nother conversation, you guys. So he gave Gillie the respect of actually saying what's up, slapping his hand. And maybe Gillie had said something like to get him on the interview. I don't know if he got that out. Maybe he did. You know what I mean? But if you're trying, my point is, if you're trying to get somebody to do an interview with you, you don't always get it on the first ask. I've had to ask people for interviews on several occasions. Sometimes you'll feel a little disrespected by it. Sometimes there's other circumstances behind that. I mean, I'm just going to say just because an artist tells you that he can't do an interview with you at that point in time, you cannot feel disrespected by that. People have times, schedules, people have uh, likes and dislikes. You know what I mean? If you're talking about a celebrity rapper, like some of the guys that they be interviewing, like the Kodaks, the Lil Durks, you know what I mean? Little Dirk, I guess, wanted him to come to Chicago. You know what I mean? People have different preferences for how they're going to do things. You know what I mean? I remember one time a rapper told me, he was like, "Yo, Mikey, we should do an interview on a boat." You know what I mean? I was like, "A boat? A boat? Damn." You know what I'm saying? I remember. Well, I mean, what I'm saying, it's like it's pretty obvious that Gillie felt disrespected. He's saying that. He's pretty much saying that when he went on TMZ, and it was brought up on the Tricky podcast about his conversation. He pretty much, put it out there, the whole situation. And then you guys, Mack Maine responded, you guys. Mack Maine actually responded after that. Uh, Dude, how can you write something like that on the internet and like go on with your day? Like that is extremely sad. Like, how do you? I'm just gonna real quick. I just want to say, like, how do you write something like that on the internet and just like go on with your day? Like that shit's extremely sad, bro. I'm just saying. Like, like you got to have a whole day planned out and shit where you're just going on and enjoying your life, but you got to think about this dastardly comment that you just made. Like, bro, I'm just saying that shit would have me sick. That shit would have me turning in my head like, yo, man, what type of shit do I be writing on the internet, man? Like, what kind of a, oh, man, what do I be writing on the internet? You know what I'm just being real. Jeanette, Gillie Gillie lied. She's saying we're gonna get into some of the comments, Jeanette, because a lot of people were commenting on Mack Maine's page. A lot of people were commenting on Mack Maine's page. We're gonna get into right now. So Mack Maine actually responded to Gillie. Mack Maine is pretty much the top dog of Gillie and Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Mack Maine is of Lil Wayne. Yeah, that's Lil Wayne's top guy right there, man. Little Mack Maine he's actually shown me love in the club. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? Mack Maine actually showed me love in the club a few times. I remember this one time in specific, I was actually fitting to get kicked out the club because I lit up an L and it was right by this bouncer. And Mack Maine was there with his shorty or wifey, whoever. And so I lit up, and then this bouncer was like about to grab me, and Mack Maine was like, "Nah, he's good." I was like, "Yo, you're the man. Appreciate you." I'm like, "You want to hit this shit?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, he's like, "Nah, I'm good." I had met him an occasion before at Live, and he actually saved my ass at live that night. So I got respect for Mack Maine. Um, Gillie had something to say about Mack Maine, though, you guys. Gillie responded, but Mack Maine's the one who, put up the actual on his page, I guess you could say, where it made the most sense to be was actually on Mack Maine's page. He actually posted the interaction that I was just detailing with Gillie the Kid and Lil Wayne. He actually posted it on his page, you guys. Um, and I went over it. They shook hands very briefly. I kind of feel like Gillie shouldn't have felt slighted. I saw somebody in the chat ask me if I would think Gillie would feel slighted. I kind of feel like Gillie shouldn't feel slighted because of the fact that Lil Wayne actually took time out of his moment, which is in fact his whole life, his whole adult life. You know what I mean? That is legitimately his moment. So he took time to actually come and show love to Gillie after all their history. You know what I mean? You really gotta take that into consideration. He came over and shook hands with Gillie the Kid after everything that they've gone through. Like, I wouldn't have thought that would have been the case. I wouldn't have thought Gillie would have approached uh Lil Wayne to be on the podcast. You know what I mean? They're getting so many new artists that I wouldn't have thought that. But Gillie's trying to do the unthinkable. Gillie's trying to do, some innovative shit. You know what I mean? Gillie wants to turn the world upside down with the $1 million worth of game podcast. They're not playing, you guys, when they're talking about this. When they was on their last podcast talking about it with Dave, the guy, the owner of Barstool Sports, and telling him all the innovative plans that they have. They want to bring Lil Wayne on $1 million worth of game, y'all. They want to bring Lil Wayne on $1 million worth of game. That's why I put up a poll. Like, if anybody thinks that, I'm going to put it up in the chat right now. I'm asking y'all right now, do you guys think it's an official poll? Do you guys think that Gillie will be going on the $1 million worth of game podcast? I want to know what everybody in here thinks. Let me know what y'all think right now. I put the poll up. Okay, there we go. We Gucci. Need everybody to vote in the poll right now. Do y'all think that Gillie's going to get the interview? Do y'all think that Gillie's going to get the interview with Lil Wayne now? Personally, guys, I think it takes more than just one occasion of linking up with somebody to get the interview. Like, you can't just expect it. You know what I mean? You just can't expect it to happen like that, you guys. GMC Film says, of course he would. GMC Film says, of course he would. So he believes that Wayne will eventually do the interview. One thing I don't think Wayne is going to like is Gillie probably talking about it like this on his TMZ interview. But let's get into Mack Maine, what Mack Maine had to say. So Mack Maine said this, you guys. Mack Maine posted on his Instagram, boy, this Hollywood shit is crazy. Please watch both videos and say, rock topics. She runs the Tricky podcast. I love you, but please keep us out them type convos. You'll probably never get the truth. I know the name of your show. It's tricky, but don't let them trick you. Mack Maine also addressed the rumors of Gillie writing for Lil Wayne, but let me go over that right there. You know what I mean? Asking people to keep those conversations out of the equation. I spoke on it a little bit earlier. Gillie had said on a few different shows that he was never going to talk about the Lil Wayne situation again. But it's like, how do you avoid talking about the Lil Wayne situation when you're on TMZ? Like, let's keep it a buck. You know what I mean? When you get on a major platform, like if Gillie went on the Impulsiveness show, you know what I mean, with Logan Paul, and they brought up Lil Wayne, writing for Lil Wayne, how is Gillie not going to address that? You know what I mean? Like, you can't expect these, all respect to Mack Maine, you know what I'm saying? But you can't expect these podcast hosts who are entertaining audiences of millions. They're like, you know what I mean? They're like their own little Howard Sterns and shit like that, with all the syndication that you could imagine broadcasting to millions, So Mack Maine also said this, and if you wrote the Carter 1, who wrote the Carter 2, 3, 4, and 5? Wow. Wow. Mack Maine questions Gillie writing for the Carter albums. He said, if you wrote the Carter 1, who wrote the Carter 2, 3, 4, and 5? Personally, I was big on the Carter 2. But anyways, Gillie responded to Mack Maine. Gillie actually responded to Mack Maine, you guys. Gillie is like, come on, Mac. You know I'm telling the truth. Didn't say anything disrespectful. So stop the dumb shit. Because I really know you, Jermaine. You carry the bags, bro. Damn. He's given him the sidekick treatment. He is given Mack Maine the sidekick treatment. Now, Lil Wayne is the biggest rapper in the world. Uh, you know what I mean? He's the biggest rapper in the world alive. You know what I'm saying by that? He is pretty much the living version of like the biggest rapper in the world right now. When you talk about like famous rock stars and shit like that, Lil Wayne coming out with an album, it's pretty much like it's a classic at this point. Anything that you might as well just put it up on the shelf like it's a classic thing that he did. We shouldn't really expect too much more from Lil Wayne at this point, aside from him to live his life, and we see him on his private jets with the big booty bitches, you know what I mean, and all that type of shit. He's just living his life. He's living his life, enjoying his life at this point. We're not getting albums really as consecutively as we once were. I mean, but look what's happening with Kendrick Lamar, who just took 5 years, you know what I'm saying, to write his album. Back in the day, artists would always say going from their debut album to their sophomore album, it was so much of a different process because of the fact that they were writing their debut for their whole life. So maybe artists are going to jump back into that type of territory. Some other artists are doing it different. You know what I mean? Like they have their catalog where they address certain shit. You know what I mean? Like look at what Benny we were talking about, Tana Talk 4, Tana Talk 3, all these Tana Talk albums. That gives him a chance to he can write that material that he wants to write. Meanwhile, releasing other stuff like the Plugs I Met, like his upcoming Def Jam album. It's crazy though. Yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about this. I can't believe these guys are going back at it again. I really can't believe these guys are going back at it again. You know, what will this lead to, man? I mean, shit, Mac Maine put the footage out. Gillie actually commented back on the footage. A few other people responded, and it wasn't good. A few other people responded. I'm going to read some of the comments here. Someone dude added Gillie. He said, "You literally said Wayne dipped out of there like he was scared. LOL." Come on, man. Gillie got quite a few comments back in regard to this. Some dude said he never said who was out of there. He said they shook hands and was out of there, which happened. Gillie peeled. Wayne probably didn't even know who that was. Now, at first, I thought that was going well. You know, when he said who that was, and then they shook hands, and then they were out of there, which is what happened. You know, and he was out of there. They both were out of there. Both keyword, both of them were out of there. They literally both turned their back. Rather, I'm just keeping it real, you guys. You know what I mean? If I can't keep it real, why am I even coming on here? They both turned their back to one another almost immediately, to which point Wallow was like, I think Wallow was ready to be right there in between them and to be that mediator that they potentially need if they're going to talk through some of their past, which is what will happen if he comes on the show. If Wayne comes on the show, there's no way that they don't bring up the past of what happened between them. Yo, Yrez, I'm talking about in more of a legendary. I'm talking about in more of a legendary aspect. You know what I mean? Like when Michael Jackson was thought to be the king of pop. You know what I mean? There were obviously other artists that came in and were doing their thing, but Michael obviously held a legendary spot in everybody's mind, even though there were artists that had come in and begun to do their thing. And they're like, this guy can dance sort of like Mike. Oh, this dude's got the ad libs down like crazy. Yo, that dude's got the style. You know what I'm saying? That dude's got the style and the charisma. You know what I'm saying? I kind of look at Lil Wayne kind of in that. There's a couple others though. You got Jay, you know what I mean? You put Nas in that caliber when Nas gives you a gem of an album. There's a bunch of artists like that who are really up in that realm. It's like they're like the Avengers of the hip hop game. Ti was going to be in that. Ti was going to be in that, but something happened to Ti and he lost it all. You know what I mean? Something happened to Ti, and his record sales literally went from 600,000. 600,000. That's why I was putting him up there, you guys. That's why I was putting him up there. 600,000 to 156,000. You've got to be kidding me. 50 Cent lost it as well. 1 million in a short week to 156,000 on Before I Self-Destruct. Yo, KD, what's popping? Would you appreciate you for tapping in, man? Yeah, I just wanted to go over this topic, man. You know, Gillie did an interview on TMZ that is now turned into a whole argument with him and Mack Maine. Gillie and Mack Maine now go back and forth. Eric says, Mike, did you ever meet all of the G Unit members? I've only met Mobb Deep. And that was just at a show. I got the chance to meet Mobb Deep at a show. I was in the front row. Actually, I was at BB King's. So yeah, I did get a chance to dap it up with Prodigy before he went in. That was at his going away party at BB King's. I don't know if anybody watching this video on demand has went to that show, let me know. That's lit. What else? Who else did I meet from G Unit? I got to see Lloyd Banks to perform. I got to see Lloyd Banks perform in Connecticut. I went to the G Unit offices and met Kid Kid. So that's 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Trying to think what other G Unit members did I meet? Trying to think what other G Unit members did I meet? Oh, I met Bang'em Smurf and Domination, ex G Unit members. But I never met Yayo. Oh, I met 50 Cent. I met 50 Cent. Yep. Actually took a pic with 50 Cent, tried to get an interview, but it didn't happen. Let me think. Jody, what are you talking about with that one? Frame that as a little better of a question so I can respond to it, bro. As far as what I was talking about as well. Noid. Noid. Noid was Mob Deep because I did meet Noid too. But I wouldn't Noid was you gonna say Noid is G Unit, bro? Nightman? Because if add him to the list if that's the case, because I do believe I met Noid up in upstate New York. Actually filmed with him as well. But yeah, so met 50. Did an interview with Spider Loke. We never met, but because that was a phone interview back in the day before I got into all this shit. Let me see. I got the chance to see Prodigy perform in the front row, which was dope. Surprisingly, I mean, that's not a big spot. So being in front, a lot of people were probably just sitting back in their chairs being too cool for school. I was in the front row of that shit. Whose record sales though, Jody? Yeah, Jody was saying, I was saying the album sales went down because of instead of buying CDs from Walmart, we stream online or download for free. So they got less sales. Yeah, and it pretty much screwed up the careers of like Young Buck. You know what I mean? It pretty much screwed up the careers of like Lloyd Banks, pretty much screwed up the careers of even guys like Gillie the Kid. You know what I mean? Everybody's streaming the music before they buy it. It leads to less sales. When it leads to less sales, it makes the record label less likely to believe in the artist, you guys. That's what happened. Look at Tony Yayo. I can't really say Yayo, but look at Banks and Buck. These guys had $750,000 budgets with Interscope. And I'm going to tie this all into Gillie as well in a second because it's like the 6 degrees of separation. You know what I'm saying? They had contracts with Interscope where they would get a $750,000 advance per album. Interscope was like, yo, screw that deal. Once Buck, once Banks, once Yayo, once their sales all came out, Interscope nixed that deal. $750,000 so these guys can come out with albums that only sell 1 million copies each. It doesn't sound like a productive deal. Anyway, and some of them even less than 1 million. The second album's 150,000 each, and Yayo never got his second album. This had to make Interscope fear. The sales dwindling. The sales dwindling because of all the online markets offering the music for free, so you could literally just go download it and put it on a blank CD. Unintentional rhyme. This must have made all of the labels fear doing big record deals with the likes of a Gillie the Kid. As 50 wrote in his book when he brought Gillie the Kid to Interscope and Gillie asked for 1.5. You're asking for 1.5 million and they literally just cut off all these guys making 750,000 for a re-up album. I'm not talking about the re-up. I'm talking about for a new budget for a new album. Hell yeah, Smith & Wesson. They were actually just out here in Connecticut. Oh, word. Tony Yayo's got a podcast coming out. Tony Yayo probably needs a co-host like me. Tony Yayo probably needs a co-host like me, to be honest. But 50's got all types of issues with me, but over Bang'em Smurf more than likely. Or maybe that time when I just went outrageously crazy when he wouldn't give me an interview in Connecticut. But that's a story for another day. Yep, that shit changed the whole business, and it made labels get scared of working with the artist, you guys. Labels got scared of working with the artist until a little bit later when they found all these artists that could master those trends. When they found all and then when they found the next thing in line was the streaming. Of course, that didn't come till many years later though, you guys. It didn't come till many years later once a lot of artists got broke down. A lot of artists got weeded out. A lot of them didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Jesus, that makes me want to cover that shit in depth. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole way that the hip hop stories have gone. Interesting. Interesting. Change, change the whole business for sure. All right, you guys. I appreciate y'all for tapping in on this live today. Does anybody have any open questions? No, I've been skipping some of the questions because I was really trying to focus on the news that we had here. There was a little bit to cover. Oh, hold on one second. There's some more comments. I forgot. I'm sorry. There's more comments here. Another comment actually came to Gillie's defense. He said, he ain't say it like that. We all know Gil. If he felt like Wayne was shook, he would have said it. Bet 1,000 Wayne or Mack didn't think Gillie was going to be there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that right there. If Gillie felt like Wayne was shook during that altercation, he would have said it. Posting, you know what I mean? Basically, Lil Wayne would have got called out by Gillie for that. He would have been like, that dude was shook when he saw me. He was shook. He didn't know what to do when he saw me. So this guy's coming to Gillie's back here, but he's saying he'll bet 1,000 that Wayne or Mack didn't think Gillie was going to be there. Yeah, Wayne probably would have took the day off. You know what I mean? Wayne would have probably taken the day off. Wayne has that luxury. You know what I mean? Wheezy has that luxury of just taking the day off whenever he wants. He said, this other dude commented, someone else dissed Gillie. Bruh, you added hella extra shit. Y'all shook hands and you walked away. Someone just said that straight up on the post. Someone also commented, why do you think Mack is cool? He clearly acted like Wayne got out of there, insinuating that he was scared. Why you think Mack is mad? Because he clearly acted like Wayne got out of there, insinuating that he was scared. So there's a lot of people calling Gillie out in this situation. You know what I mean? Gillie's just remembering it to the best of his ability. So someone else commented at Gillie the Kid, what you said didn't happen. Round cameras, don't lie. Y'all has people in between to make sure nothing took place. Keep it gangsta. Wallow rubbed his face like shit. I feel like the tension, but at the end of the day, let it go, fool. Huh. I think Gillie has let the beef go. You know what I mean? But the fact that Lil Wayne didn't really want to talk at that moment, or Lil Wayne was busy at that moment, the fact that Lil Wayne probably isn't ready to jump on the podcast right away, I don't think Gillie should let that get him to the point where he's going on TMZ and like basically putting all their conversation out there. Um, but like I said before, when you're on TMZ, they're going to ask you the most juicy information. That's what they want. They want the most juicy information. They want the hottest story that has ever been attached to your name. So they're undoubtedly going to ask Gillie about his relationship with Lil Wayne. They're going to ask him, did you clear up the beef with Lil Wayne? Is there still beef? Why was there beef? Will you jump in a celebrity? You know what I mean? They're going to ask him all that type of shit when he goes to these places. So as much as Gillie wants to tell all of the local bloggers, like, yo, I'm done with that, as much as he even goes on the Breakfast Club and says he's done talking about certain topics, sometimes it's going to get brought up when he goes to other podcasts, like we saw got brought up recently. You know what I mean? When he did the podcast with all those guys, Adam 22 and academics and everybody, when he did that big podcast and shit. But yeah, man, situation was pretty crazy to see that break out. But it is TMZ, you guys. It is TMZ. So I wasn't really all too shocked that Gillie was getting asked about Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? It's not only me. It's not only Charlemagne. You know what I mean? It's not me. It's just not just me and Charlemagne and Taxstone. It's not just me, Charlemagne, and Taxstone and Big Boy. It's not just me, Charlemagne, Taxstone, and Big Boy that is asking Gillie the Kid about Lil Wayne. You've got TMZ. All the major networks are going to ask him about it. You know what I'm saying? So he's got to be expecting it. You know what I mean? He's got to be expecting it. You know what I mean? He's honestly got to be expecting it coming in the future throughout all of his interviews. Now, if anybody has any open questions, I'm going to open up the room. Everybody in here that's not following me on the gram, I want you guys to follow me right now. Whoever follows me right now, I will follow you guys back. Yrez said, "What did Gillie say about Mack?" So Mack Maine actually put up a post where he was like, "Boy, boy, boy, this Hollywood shit is crazy. Please watch both videos." Mack Maine actually put up a video of, Lil Wayne running into Gillie the Kid. They shook hands and they both parted ways. And then he also put up the video of Gillie explaining what happened in his interview with TMZ on the It's Tricky podcast. So Mack Maine said, if you wrote the Carter 1, who wrote the Carter 1? Who wrote the Carter 2, 3, 4, and 5? Pretty much calling out the question of did Gillie the Kid write for Lil Wayne? But also before that, he said, and say at Rock Topics, I love you, but please keep us out them type of convos. You'll probably never get the truth. I know the name of your show is It's Tricky, but don't let them trick you. So Gillie responded to Mack Maine and said, "Come on, Mack. You know I'm telling the truth. I didn't say anything disrespectful, so stop the dumb shit. Because I really know you, Jermaine. You carry the bags, bro." Oh my God. So Gillie just says that he didn't say anything disrespectful. And then he proceeds to call the man Jermaine and proceeds to call him the bag carrier. Every time we hear the term bag carrier for a major artist, it's in disrespect. Oh, he carried 50 Cent's bags. He carried Snoop Dogg's bags. He carried Lloyd Banks's bags. You know what I mean? When we hear this term used, it's in a disrespectful manner. You know what I'm saying? So to say that Mack Maine is carrying Lil Wayne's bags, first of all, those are some bags that I don't think anybody would mind carrying. Number one, when you're the best friend of an artist, when you're the best friend of an artist and you believe in your best friend, you know what I'm saying? And then your best friend actually takes off and you get to enjoy that experience with them. You know what I mean? I'm sure only a few of us have ever got to be a part of that. I'm sure the rest of us imagine what it would be like as we're all grinding to make it. You see situations like that. Biggie and D-Rock. You know what I'm saying? We see different situations like that play out where artists actually 50 Cent and Tony Yayo, you know what I mean? Guys who are really friends, and then they get to change the life of their friend once they make it. 50 cents tax write-off. You know what I'm saying? Different type of shit like that. So, to be honest with you, there's a lot of other guys out there who were carrying the bags, carrying the crates, you know what I mean? Making sure that their homie's studio time was booked, making sure that their friend who was an artist actually made it out to the club to meet the different artists. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that there is a reason that you are carrying those bags. When your friend blows up to the level of Lil Wayne, you can't be called out for carrying somebody's bags. So maybe this does bring down the level of what Gillie said and bring it down to the level of a joke. I looked through the comments. As you've seen, I've read a bunch of them, but there is no response to these comments from Mack Maine. Mack Maine seemingly just wants the truth put out there that Lil Wayne was not in feeling any type of way about meeting Gillie. Lil Wayne actually met Gillie, shook his hand. They slapped each other's hands. You know what I mean? They had a second and it was over. Period. Jay Sinatra said he's just holding down his man and he is securing the bag. No pun intended. Yeah, exactly. He's holding down. I know well, everybody pretty much knows the relationship that Mack Maine has with Lil Wayne. But I didn't expect him to respond as promptly because I was just expecting to come on here and talk about what happened with Gil and Wayne. You know what I mean? I was just expecting to come on here and talk about what happened with Gil and Wayne. But in all honesty, Mack Maine just flipped the whole script. He flipped the whole story. Mack Maine came out and put the video footage out there. Mack Maine didn't want Lil Wayne to be discredited. I don't know if this is album time. I don't know if we're about to get an album or something from Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? But Mack Maine is about it, man. Mack Maine is about it when it comes to this social media presence, when it comes to his brother's reputation. He really just wanted to clear the air on that. Mack Maine did not tag Gillie in that post. Yep, that's true, Eric. That's true. All right, man. I want everybody to follow me. Want to come and do a little short podcast this afternoon. You know what I mean? I had to do a short podcast to address this whole situation. This long-standing rivalry, which we'll have to wait and see. Is it going to result in an interview? Will it result in an interview to cool the tension, to calm the waters? You know what I'm saying? Will these two men jumping on $1 million worth of game ever happen? Because I got a feeling if they can get Wallow in between these two guys, if they can get Wallow in between Gil and Wheezy, they can have a productive conversation that gets them to a better understanding. That's just the way I feel about it, you guys. Let me check out the poll. Will Lil Wayne get on the $1 million worth of game show? 62% of the people say no. 38% of you guys say yes. We're going to have to wait and see what happens to that, you guys. But I appreciate everybody tapping in this afternoon. I will check in with y'all. Make sure you see me on the next episode. Peace.